All right, boom. In the building today, we have someone, in my opinion, who is the epitome of turning a bad thing good, a ruler with an extreme iron fist, and someone with a wealth of knowledge that I can't wait to soak up. You know what I mean? We have,
Okay.
I want to get this right, Sir
No, it's
Bobby.
Bobby Cummines.
No, you don't deserve to be acknowledged
All right,
though.
okay.
We have Bobby Cummins in the building today. How we doing, sir? Everything
I'm
good?
all right, thank you. It's
Yeah.
nice to be here with you.
Most definitely. Now, I appreciate your time and, coming
No
to rock
problem
with
at all.
us for Vlad TV. And yeah, pretty much just going to get into your story. And yeah, really looking forward to it, man. Like,
Okay, let's do it.
all right. So first order of business, if we was to take it all the way back
Yeah.
to your earliest years and you can tell me your most earliest memories of childhood.
Well, I grew up in an Irish family with 8 kids, 4 boys, 4 girls, and all my family was straight goers. My dad was a builder, and my mum was a stay-at-home mum, looking after the kids. I was the baby, and I went to grammar school. I had good education, but my dad went bankrupt, and I got a bit angry about that. And we lost our nice house, our builder yard and everything, and they took everything from us, and we wound up living in a council flat.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up on the street, and I used to do boxing, in schoolboys boxing, and bantamweight, and I was pretty good at that.
Right.
But I got a job in the I got a job in the shipping office. I left school early because we had to bring money into the family. We was poor, and in them days all the street doors was open, because we had one thing in common: we was all skint, so we didn't steal off each other. It was different races of all people. There was no racism shit or anything like that.
Right.
We was all one lot, and we looked after each other. And you could go in anyone's house, and their mum would give you a meal. It made me laugh when people talk about Chinese. I go, hey, Chinese food. I've sat down and that with a Chinese family, same as like jerk chicken. I laugh. I go, no. And Judah's mum used to go, you stay at my kitchen, you feed the dumplings. I used to nick her dumplings, fried dumplings.
He's a fan of the dumplings,
yeah,
actually.
And they're beautiful people. When we grew up safe, there was no worrying about your kids. There was no nasty stuff going about. And we used to go thieving, which we didn't see it as thieving. It was survival,
Right.
We nicked something. And I had a little go-kart thing that we used to go around. We used to sell newspapers to the fish and chip shop. And the earliest one I remember, and he didn't pay. Well, I had a friend, right? He was a Maltese guy. We went to school together, and we had this cart we pulled along. And we used to collect the papers. And he went, something, we don't know how to collect these papers. I said, why not? He said, my dad's shop. I said, yeah. He said, they throw the papers. The van comes and throws them out. He said, and we just load up the thing. We go around the other shops and nick the papers.
Right.
So we nicked the papers, think we was being smart, and took it to the guy who owned the fish and chip shop. So we give him the papers. He's clocked it's all today's newspapers, and he wouldn't pay us. And it was in the 50s, you still had bomb debris, where after the war,
Of course, yeah.
and it was a dead cat. And I really had the hump with this guy. And I picked up the dead cat by its tail. And I meant to throw it at him, but it hit the counter and it went into his fryer. So it shut his shop down. So he's screaming out, blue murder. And my dad come up and he's shouting and hollering. And my dad said to him, what's the matter? He said, that shut my shop down. That boy yours just threw a dead cat in my fryer,
Wow.
And my dad said, what's it all about? I said, he didn't pay me. I was a little bit of a business kid, I was a streetwise kid.
Yeah, you had it screwed on from early sort of thing.
And he went, we need it. I said, well, give him the newspapers. He went, they were stolen newspapers. So my dad said, have you taken them back to the shop where they supposed to have nicked these? But he went, well, no. He said, so you're using them to wrap up your fish and chips with? He said, well, then pay them.
Makes sense.
And my dad used to do bare knuckle fighting, so he weren't going to argue with my dad.
Well, yeah, don't want to mess with him, basically.
No, so he gave my dad the money. We didn't get the money. My dad went down the pub and he had with his pals and they all had a drink on our loot. Wow. So I learned then you've got to look after yourself. But at the age of, went on, we had gang fights. Dad come with a bayonet, we'd go with an axe, cutthroats, and it was quite nasty. Different gangs from different areas.
Right.
Do that. People got cut, and then I thought to myself, it's purely business. I mean, I'm not a gangster, never have been, never wanted to be a gangster. To me, crime was a business, and I was a businessman. His business was crime. I got right into it. But what happened was, I was over Finsbury Park, and a couple of my old school pals, they fired a starting pistol, and 2 coppers come in, was having a go at them. Me being leery, I've always been leery and a bit mouthy. And I went to them, and I was working in the shipping office at the time. And I said, you can't do that. I said, you've got to have a responsible adult there. These are young people. He went, you seem to know a lot. He said, I went, I know my rights. He went, is that right? And they walked out the park, and I thought, gone. They come back into the park with a cutthroat razor, threw it on the ground and went, we see you just throwed it, you're nicked. Fitted me up, right? Now, I was a straight goer until then, so they stitched me right up. My old man being a straight goer, he's come down the nick. And he went, what's all this about? And they went with defensive weapon and a cutthroat razor. And he went, wait, I said, it's a fit up. He went, what are you talking about, fit up? I said, it's a fit up. They planted it on me. He went, policeman, don't do that. You know, he was a straight man. I said, I'm telling you, they fitted him up. So he said, look, your mother's in tears. He said, the cop had told me, if you go in there and plead guilty, he said, you get a £10 fine. You plead not guilty, they're going to send you up the steps and get you a ball stool. I didn't care because most of my pals was in ball stool anyway.
Right.
But I thought, no, I don't want to hurt my mum. You know, we're a close-knit family and, you know, we all loved each other. So I went, all right, take the £10 fine. Go back to work, the gut call, pay the £10 fine. Go to work, and of course they've read it in the newspapers. I've lost my job. So my dad.
So you being convicted, or had you been convicted or just charged?
No, I got convicted of carrying the cutthroat. I wasn't guilty to save my mum and the family, right?
Got you.
So what happened was, I've gone back to work and he went, look, and I got on well with these people. They were nice people, you know. And they said, Bobby, we've got to let you go because it's customs entry forms and all that. You know, I knew what was on ships coming in and all that. Criminal record, you couldn't work there. So I got the sack, went home. My dad went, well, you can come and work. And I thought, no, I was sitting in a caf. We had a little Greek caf. We all used to go in, have a cup of tea, bit of toast or whatever we could afford. And all the boys was at it. Some of them was doing crazy stuff like burglaries and all that. And I sat and looked at them and they went, you want to come in with us? You know, you got form there, couldn't get another job. I said, yeah, all right. I said, but we do it my way. And they went, what do you mean? I said, there's not enough dough here to share out with all these others. I said, we've got to go to war first. We've got to make sure we own the cake. I don't want a slice, I want the whole cake.
Right.
I said, but you've got to be prepared to have a battle. And that's how it started with the cutthroat, you know, cutthroats, bayonets, hatchets, and all that. And I noticed I was getting blood on my suit. And I thought, this is not good business, you know, really nice suits, you know. So I thought, get a gun, it's easy to shoot them. I got a 410 double barrel, and it started from there. And I let it off a couple of times. And people thought, well, hold up, you don't mind pulling the trigger.
Right.
And the older guys then come in and went, do you fancy coming on armed robberies? But, you know, they're doing banks and all that.
Right. So just to backtrack for a second, so the first actual offence with the razor that the police tried to stitch you up for?
I've done all the rest. Everything else I've done, right? I always say, yeah, I did that, you know, but I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
And, I mean, I've been done for murder, got a manslaughter, but, you know, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that razor.
Right.
And I swear that. You know, I've got no reason to lie.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
I've shot people, robbed banks and everything else, and I go, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
That's down to me. That weren't down to me.
Right.
That was a fit-up. And that's what started my criminal career.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on that. So they sent you to basically a youth offenders equivalent sort of thing as far as a military...
When I got the shotgun, well, it was a laugh, really. I laugh at it myself. They had this big idea. They went, there's a post office van full of money. Yeah, I'll have that. So we filled it up, and it had already laid the money out. There was nothing in it. But one of the guys nicked a pouch, an empty pouch. So now it's armed robbery because you took something. You're not just sticking a van up. So they send me to a senior detention centre for 6 months for possession of a firearm and discharging it in a public place. And I went there and I see the brutality that was going on there. It took terrible, it'd be child abuse now. They was beating the kids up, the screws and all that sort of thing. And I thought, you wouldn't do that if we was outside and bash it a piece of a baseball bat. You know, I'm looking at them.
And how old were you when you were?
16.
16, right.
And I'm angry now. I'm seeing what's going on, the abuse they do to us. And there was a guy who come from Brixton, funny enough. And they were racist in there, so they picked on everyone. And Everton, he said to me, Bobby, I went, well, because we used to do boxing, different clubs, you know, and I knew him. And he was a good boxer at times. And he said to me, you watch my back, I'll watch yours, because they had these things they call daddies in there. So I went, yeah, all right, we'd do it. And so we bashed up a few of them in there. So then we run it, and it was all right. And I come out of there, but I was fit by then. I'd been in the gym because they used to make you run around football pitches with medicine ball and boots and all that going. So I come out really fit. And my dad was waiting, bless his heart, and he went, right, you've done your time now. He went, no more of that gun game. I went, no. He went, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to put it back on him. He went, what? I said, I'm going to do business, Dad. He went, no more guns and all that. I went, no, no, no. So I got out now I knowing how it's worked, because I'm worked with the older ones.
Right.
So I didn't need them. And I've put my own firm together, all my pals and that.
Right.
That's what I said to them. I said, you know, they went, what about the older ones? I said, look, we're not playing. If they come on us, I said, we shoot them.
So, like, just to backtrack quickly as well. So, initially, when you're working for the sort of the older lot,
Yeah.
so did they like sort of like groom you in a sense, like
They groomed you into violence. Like
Right.
a paedophile grooms a child into sex. They groomed us into bad violence.
Right.
And they get like, they say, oh, we're going back now in like the 60s. And like, 500 quid was a lot of dough. The average man was earning 12 quid a week. And,
Definitely, yeah.
and they went, Bobby, if you go and collect this money, guy owes us 500 quid, owes us a monkey 500 quid. If you get it, we give you 10%. Well, 50 quid was a lot of dough, you know.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, I'll do it. And done that for a little while. And I thought, hold up a minute, you're driving nice cars. I'm taking a risk, right? I don't need you. I know how it works now. So what happened then, I got the guys together. We'd already seen off other gangs in the area. So we was getting known as, you know, don't mess with them, you know. Don't step on their toes. So my dad, he didn't know. He gave me an idea. I'm sitting there and he went, do you know old George has got the cafe up the road? I said, yeah. He said, the little kids, they're naughty kids. He said, throwing bricks through his window, they've done it. He said, his insurance is going to go up. I went, is that right? Now I'm about coming up to 17, 18. And being a schemer, I've always loved money, and I'm a schemer, I know how to earn money. I went, how many times did the bricks go through his window before his insurance goes up? He said, well, it goes up 3 times, the insurance goes through the roof. So I got hold of these kids and I said to them, look, I'll give you a couple of quid each. And they was opening up Chinese restaurants and Indian restaurants at the time. It was the new fad coming in. So I give the kids, I said, go and break them shop windows. I said, do it twice. I said, and then you don't do it no more. So we give them a £5 to go and bash all the shop windows out. So then I've gone into the people, and people knew there was a firm now running things. And I went in there, I said, look, this is terrible, what's happening here? I'm always reasonable with them. I went, you know, it's terrible. I said, you know, your insurance is going to go through the roof. They went, yeah. I went, I can make sure that don't happen. And if you get a problem, you can phone us up, you know, phone the cafe up and we'll come in and sort it for you. He went, where are we going to do it? I said, well, we come in, we eat for nothing. I said, and when you're selling, you know, you're taking the money, put a little bit extra on the bill for us and we'll take the money and we look after you. And it worked a treat.
Pretty clever, yeah.
It worked a treat. We had them in the end. We didn't have to put bricks through their windows. People was coming up and going, like, I'm like, oh, yeah, we look after you, don't worry. And we're doing it with like dress shops and all that.
Yeah.
And then my tailor, my dad's tailor, he said, you know, old Murray? I said, yeah. He said, they used to get things like suits on the Never Never. In other words, you pay a deposit and then you pay it off each week. Well, once they got the suits, they was on their toes. They weren't going to pay him. So he had a load of debts. So I said, look, Murray, I said, what we do? I said, you make me a suit every 6 months. I said, and give me the list of the people. I said, I don't want money off you. I said, just make me a suit. I said, and what I collect, I'll take 25% of what I take. So if I don't collect, you don't pay me. He went, yeah, all right. So, well, I think they're thieving off him anyway, so I'm only going into them. They took a liberty. So we go around, bash them up and get the money, give him his money, got our money. He told his pal he was doing the same thing in the shoe shop. So in the end, we had this money coming in and it weren't bad. Yeah. And people, you know, we called it insurance, people called it extortion, but it was, you know, it was coming to us, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there and the money's coming in. I thought, I don't have to do anything. You know, these people, and they was pleased to see us, you know, hello, Bob. Yeah. And, you know, in them days, I didn't drink. I used to just drink bitter lemon. My pals drank, but I didn't. To me, everything was business. And then the armed robbery thing come in.
Yeah,
and
so
I said,
if I can just touch on something in particular, right? So how did you go about formulating your own firm? Because as we know it, they're called the Chaps, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
So how did you go about formulating your own
firm? The thing was, there was people there that were lively, but they weren't organised. And I'm good at organising things, structuring things. You know, I look at everything to me, it's got to be a plan. You know, you just don't go wild, you're going to get arrested. And it was business. So what I did, I picked people like, I knew a kid who was a really good driver. So I thought, right, he's good, he can be a getaway driver. And if we do a shooting, you know, we take an old car, because if we shoot someone, we don't want to crush up a new car. So we used to take the old car out for the shootings and then crush it up afterwards. But got the driver, then other people started coming to us, you know, they was all out of work. And I went, you'll come and work with us. They went, well, what are you doing? I said, everything. We're just earning money, you know. And they'd never seen money like it, you know. And they said, well, I said, well, we can do banks, jewellery shops, you name it. I said, once we got that gun, and I've got guns for all of them, I said, once we got them, we can go to war wherever we want. We can take the lot. And they liked it. And once they got the first taste of the big money, they didn't want to give it up. But I always told them the truth. I said, law of averages, right? We're going to get nicked. You can't go on forever. So when you get your money, put it away, you know, use your money. Don't blow it up the wall buying flashcards, because that's going to get you nicked. Low profile. Everything's got to be low profile. If you want to spend big money, go on holiday, go to Holland, go to Spain or wherever, right. Spend your dough over there, but not on the manor, because the name was getting too big, and I was trying to push it down. I didn't want it. And
it's interesting that you say the law of averages, because I feel like this is where experience would play like a major role.
Yeah.
Because you're someone that's already been in trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you would have served some time before this as well.
Yeah.
So like you know how the game sort of works, and you're trying to.
The thing is, everything I've learned off of other people. And the best learning I had was when they made mistakes, because then I ain't going to make their mistakes. I see where they went wrong, and I thought, well, don't do that, because that's going to put me in jail.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm looking at other people, how they operate, and honing it in. So we had it off to a fine art. And, it was funny, because look, a friend of mine was going to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring. And I had the guns in the back of the motor. And I said to him, he went, I want to buy my girlfriend. He said, I've seen an engagement ring in that jewellery shop. He said, I'm going to go and buy it. And it was a few £100 in them days, was quite a lot of money. I went, what do we do for a living? He said, well, we armed robbers. I said, so what are you talking about giving them money? We go in and we take the shop. And we robbed the shop, and they liked it. And afterwards I said, we don't need money. If we want something, we go and get it. And I got a bit overconfident, and I got done for Bartley's Banksford's Cottage, and I got not guilty on that. So now I think I'm untouchable. You get caught up with it, you're doing it that many times, you become anaesthetised to the violence, it's just...
Desensitized
almost, you bring the shutters down, and you think, well, hold up, this guy, he's coming on the manor, he's going to try and shoot me, so I'm going to shoot him first. And then once you've done one, half a dozen ain't too many. So that started getting, but it got ridiculous, because if someone got cut or shot, straight away, the chap's done it. Bobby's firm's done that.
Yeah.
If someone had a car crash, we had arranged it.
That's your reputation working against you.
And then if they caught a cold, it would be one of ours. I'll give it to them. It really got ridiculous. I mean, if you believe half the stuff that was said about me, I wiped out half of North London. It was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But people believed it, and it was people on the fringe who didn't know what we was doing, because the only ones who knew what we was doing was the ones who worked with me. All the rest whispering it, like the old Chinese whisper, and it got blown out of proportion. You've shot one person, by the time it's finished, he's gone around, you've shot 10, and it was really stupid. And I didn't want it, because it was bringing it on me.
Attention,
And the coppers used to walk in the bar, and I had pine stripping business at the time, so I had a pine stripping business, so if they see me with money, it's legal. I'm dipping doors and in acid, and I'm making money. But we was robbing as well, and doing other things like shooting people for money. And they said, hello, Mr. Cams. I was always polite, man. I'm not a rude person, I was brought up properly. I have good manners. And I used to go, hello. And they go, we'll get you. We're going to put you away for 30 years. I go, what are you talking about? I'm a straight guy. I run a pint. And they went, yeah, we know what you do, William. We're going to get you, right? So I took that. I think that was the thing that come on me, was when I got off with the bank robbery. They targeted me then.
Yeah, it was onto you after that.
Yeah,
sort of thing,
they really had the ump, because they thought they was going to put me away on it, and I got not guilty. And then after that, it went on, was done armed robbery, and someone, should never have happened, because all my work was clean. I could do it in 3 minutes. We had it off to a fine art. We all knew, like the driver knew what he had to do, the guy jumping over the counter to get the dough knew what he had to do. So it was well rehearsed. We would walk in the bank, we'd have a look at it, we'd know where the bills are, and we go like 3 minutes. Within 3 minutes, we was gone, the old bill would be there, armed old bill. So I'm not going to shoot a copper, you've got to be a lunatic. Anyone who shoots media, straight goers, and the old bill, they're the three you couldn't shoot, right? Because the screen would be up. Everyone who was doing it, like kiters, shoplifters, the old bill would come in, and it would close everyone's business down. So it weren't in our interest to hurt people that didn't need to be hurt, because it would mess up everyone's business, and we wouldn't be very popular if we ruined everyone else's business, like people selling a bit of puff or, a bit of dope. And we weren't doing that business. They could earn their money. it was not our game. We specialised in what we did, they specialised in what we did. We had respect for each other. Like if they were shoplifters, they'd bring suits in or overcoats in or whatever, and we'd buy it off of them, you know, third of the price, you know, jewellery, third of the price, and then we put it over South London and they'd buy it off of us, and we moved it about. We was doing good business, and we was feeding our people. You know, our people was earning a good living. And my mum, bless her heart, because my mum and dad never knew what we was doing. And I think my dad had half an inkling, but he never talked about it. We never talked about it in my house. Never had guns in my mother's house, no weapons there. The guy who grassed us, he was the gun dealer. He shopped everyone. He turned Supergrass. And that's how they got us in the end. And people go, oh, you know, you got done by Supergrass. I go, no. We got done because we made mistakes. We should never let him know what we was doing. You know, we talked in front of him thinking he was all right. So in the end, anyone who says, I got done by a grass, no, you grass yourself, because that guy shouldn't have that information. So I don't blame no one. You know, I blame me.
It's really bold of
because
you to say, respect it.
Because they shouldn't have known. And so if you like, we put ourselves in prison because we had a guy there we thought we could trust him. We should have done our homework a bit better. He was supplying guns. We should never have let him know what we was doing. We were just buying guns off him. So all he could say, we bought guns. But where he got to know him, he used to come in the pub, have a drink, and he'd go, I had the right touch, and they'd talk to him because we thought he was one of our own, and he weren't. He rolled over, rat. And that's what I said to him. I said, you know, anyone I've allegedly shot, right? Well, I'll say allegedly because it's all hearsay what I've done. But they would have been rats anyway, so I weren't shooting people, I was shooting vermin. And that's the way I looked at it. You know, they were rats. So I didn't have no feelings about it. I'm not a psychopath, but I thought to myself, look, you're coming to cut me or shoot me, I ain't going to mess about you, I'm going to shoot you. And that's how it went down. So it was really, we weren't bad guys, we were survivors. And it's like when I went to Parkhurst, you know, in the maximum security prisons. I mean, we'd done a wrap up, someone choked on their own vomit, should never have happened, never have happened. I mean, he weren't killed, not shot or anything like that, choked on a gag. And that was the manslaughter, done me for murder, because it was in the actions of a robbery, but should never have happened. But they give me a 7.5 for that, and I come out, I've done 5 out of 7.5, because you had to do 2/3 in them days. Come out of there, but now I've met villains in there, and like I met the Crays. They was up for trial for murder. I was up the Old Bailey for having a sawn off at the age of 16. I was the youngest person to get done with a sawn off. And Ronnie Cray come out, they all coming out to go up the steps to face their murder trial. And he went, what are you doing here? I went, I'm robbery. I said, yeah, I'm with a sawn off. He went, you cheeky sod. He went, no doubt we'll be seeing a lot of you. No, I didn't know who they was. I went, no doubt you will, because I was a bit leery. I went, no doubt you will. And these
and you were 16 during
I was 16, and the guard went to me, he went, you know who that is? I went, no. And you hear the name Crays, but I didn't know who they were. I've never met them. He went, that's Reggie and Ronnie Cray. He said, they're up for murders and all that.
Oh, that's when they done the shooting and
the stabbing, when they done Cornhill and all that lot. And then they done Jack the Hat. And then the rumour had it, they done Frankie Mitchell, the axeman, popped him in the back of the head. But their own firm done that. But we were just kids and they was going away. And the little firm that was running our manor, they went away, so we run the manor after that. And it just escalated. And it's an evolving thing. People say, you know, it's hard to explain. When you shoot someone, the first time you do it, it's quite, not a buzz, but you think, I've done it. I've actually shot someone. And then I got wiser. I thought, well, I don't want to kill anyone. So what I did, I used to have the buckshot, I used to have a rock salt in one barrel, because it's beautiful. Don't leave no forensic. You shoot them in the leg with that. The heat of the blood melts the salt, so there's no bullet or nothing left behind. So that's what I worked out myself. I was the first one to work that out, because I heard about rock salt. I thought, yeah, shoot them with that. We'll try it. So we went out, and there were 2 Turkish guys.
Yeah, so this instance, is it involving, there was an incident with
it was the fish and chip shop. They were decent people. There I working, he's there from 11 o'clock in the daytime, working till 11 o'clock at night. You could see the guy, nice little Turkish family, you know, and they was working hard, the mum, and they covered in grease, you know, and my mum and dad used to go and get their fish and chips that we all did. And I respect straight goers. You know, if you're working, good luck to you, you know, but we chose to rob. But we didn't rob people like them. And Tony Gray come in, he went, Bobby, he said, you know, have you ever what's happened with the fish and chip shop? I went, no, you know, I'm sitting there having me bit of lemon. He went, well, he said, the Turkish guys who was running the car gaff down the road, it was under the arches in them days. You know, they used to repair motors. I said, yeah. He said, well, they're selling heroin. Now, I didn't like heroin. I don't like powder. You know, with the weed, it was all right. As I used to have a Rastafarian friend, and he used to say to me, it's God's plant. I could live with that, you know, because they were taking the LSD and all that. That didn't worry me. But with the powder, no, I didn't like powder. Because it destroys the person and it destroys families. They steal off their own family.
It's life-changing, yeah.
They lose their morals, right? And I'm funny about morals. So I'm quite really a moral man, you know.
Yeah.
And because I'm a Catholic as well, you know, so I was brought up fire and brimstone stuff.
Right.
And I thought, no, that ain't happening. He said, what they've done, they got her on the gear. He said, and they're trying to get her on the game. I went, what? Now, I knew this girl, I knew the family, and they're nice people. He said, they want you to, they've heard about you, and they know what you do, Bob, and they want you to torture to make it go away. Now, I've already got the ump. Well, I don't like people exploiting, I don't like bullies, I don't like people who get one heroin and then try and get her on the streets from a nice family. So I said, well, he said, they want to see you. So I got up to him, and I was in tears.
And these are Turks?
Yeah, and they were Turkish as well. And they went, Bobby, you know, we're working people, we're good people. This is a nightmare. We want this to go away. I'm looking at him, and he got a biscuit tin out, and he had all rolled up notes. They're savings, you know, what they burnt. And he went, we give you this. And I'm looking at him, I don't want to take money off of him. You know, he's working. If I want to take money, I'll take it off a bank or something, you know, they can have it. They took my dad's business away. I had no problems about robbing them.
Yeah, someone that deserves it sort of
thing.
Yeah,
don't rob off your own. You don't rob off of ordinary people. And I go up, I see him, and he went, you know, take it. And I went, nah. I went, I don't want your money. I said, I'll make it go away. I said, but what are you going to do? I said, you're going to give my mum and dad free fish and chips when they come in. And then the boys come in, free fish and chips. He went, what about the money? I went, I don't want your money. I said, I'll take it for those who got it. I don't need to take it off you. So I come back to the pub. Frank was sitting there, my driver. He went, everything all right? I went, no, it ain't all right. I said, bring Kennedy around tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the morning. He went, oh, what, we're going to work? I went, yeah, I'm going to work. I said, just bring it. I went, one loaded up with salt, rock salt. I said, and the other one with a live one in it, you know, buckshot. He went, okay, come round. I walked into their lockup, and then allegedly, right? Allegedly, people say I walked in there and I shot the one under the car with the rock salt. He was screaming. Walked in, and allegedly I stuck the gun to his brother's head and went, if you ain't off the money in 24 hours, I was going to blow your brains out. But they were gone anyway. So I walk into Club Artwards. There used to be illegal drinkers in them days, you know, where you could only go in if you...
Just to go back slightly, so when you put a gun to the guy's face,
allegedly,
allegedly, of course, what is this sort of reaction like?
He heard the one go off. He heard the one go off.
So he was just like compliant.
He's heard the other geezer screaming, and a red hot gun to you, red hot was being fired. You're not going to argue, are you? They was gone. And I'll go into the drinker the next day, and all the boys in there, and they went, all right, Bobby. I went, yeah. I said, I'm fine. And they went, we heard the Turkish guys are gone. I went, yeah, I've heard that too. And they said, we heard that you shot him and you put a gun to his head for a bag of fish and chips. They said, and they were taking the piss really. They said, what would you have done if they'd give you a pickled onion, you know? And I laughed and I went, oh, knock it on the head, you know, and we had a little laugh over it. But these low-life people, so whoever shot them, whoever shot them, right? Everyone thought it was good, and it's quieted all that sort of stuff down. And people were a bit iffy then about selling heroin or taking liberties with ordinary people. So in a way, the police was happy because crime went down, right? So their crime figures went down, but we got a bit too big for our own good and
too active, basically.
Yeah, it all come on top. I mean, we had our fingers in every pie. You know, it's just. It went crazy. The money was coming in, and it got to a stage where, and I was just to say, but it's a job, it's a bit of work. It's not gangsterism, you know, they make this thing out like Mafia and all that. It was nothing like that. It was just we was doing what we'd done well, and the guys who were ringing motors and chopping cars up, they was doing what they'd done well, and everyone was earning a nice living. So we don't want to cause problems. We don't want to hurt innocent people. We don't want to definitely don't want to shoot coppers and media, because then it's right on you. They're never going to let you go. You have to be a lunatic to shoot a copper or someone in the press, or even in what you're doing now. We would never shoot you.
Definitely.
Right? No, because the screen would be too much and everyone's business would be closed down and no one would earn money. And it was always about money.
Yeah.
That was the name of the game.
Cool.
And then they put me away and they sent me to maximum security, and they sent me to Albany on the Isle of Wight. And
Pretty far.
well, it's on the island, you know.
Yeah.
And the only other one there is Parker. Well, there's Campbell, which was an open prison, but the other one was Parker's. The only step from Parker's is Broadmoor. You know, because so Parker's is where you had the terrorists, you had killers. Everyone was a potential killer, and if that and killed, they were quite willing to do it. And so you went there, it was sort of like the end of the road. And it sent me to Albany. It was an electronic prison, and it was built for terrorists. And sent me there because he's a gang boss and that sort of stuff. And got there, I see they was beating up prisoners, putting them down the block and beating them. And they all went to me. I'd already caused a lot of trouble in different jails I went in. I made a point of disrupt a prison as soon as they put me in it. That's why I had the island. And they went, right, what's going on? They said, Bobby, I used to get people do sit downs and riots and all that sort of stuff, kick off. And so they didn't want me in their jails. Come to think, when they don't even want you in their jails, they shipped me out for 28 days from another jail. And I was doing the circuit and got to Albany. And they went to me, it's terrible what's happening. They're taking our people down the block and they're beating them. Yeah. So I said, well, what are you doing about it? And they went, well, we're looking at maybe. And I thought, if you have a riot, innocent people going, like men are going home to their wives and kids. So I didn't want men doing extra bird because we had a riot. So it happened, the riot happened after they took me away from it. But a governor came in, deputy governor. And I said, come here, I want to speak to you. And he went, I beg your pardon. I said, I want to speak to you. I said, come here. So he's come over. I said, what's happening down that block? I said, it's not on. I said, there's our people down there being beaten by your people. I said, it's not going to happen. We want them out the block, yeah? Back on the wings. So he looked at me, he went, think yourself lucky, it ain't you. I went, wow. Do what? He said, you think yourself lucky, it ain't. I went, you fucking rat. And I grabbed hold of him. There was no talk of hostage, right? No talk at all, cool. Right? I've got him. An IRA geezer slips a blade in my hand. Right now, I'd already been dumped in a murder, so they had all that down on the thing. I've got the manslaughter. And just pulled the blade up. I went, no, we want him out of here. And that's all I said to him, we want him out of that block. And he shouted out, he's taking me hostage. There was no talk about hostage. I didn't say I'm taking him hostage. Yeah. So I thought, now, if I let him go, they're coming in with the riot shields, they're going to kill me. So I'm not going to let him go. So I got the blade up to him. I said, I've done one. I said, half a dozen ain't too many, I could do you right now. He's freaked, really freaked out. He's shaking, he's weak himself and all. So I drag him to the cell, because the cells are electric locks in Albany. Drag him there, I turn him around, kicked him up the arse into the passage, locked myself in, wedged the door up, and nothing happened. So I think 3 days pass, I'm locked in the cell, and all the boys, when they go on the socials, come down, you all right, Bob? Yeah, sweet. Open up the door and get me goodies and just wedge up again. And I thought they'd forgot it. I thought they'd been taught a lesson, they'd wipe their mouth. They must have been watching through the window for another thing. I took the wedge out the door and bing, the door's open and they're all there lined up. I thought, oh, what have I done now? So they take me away. I'm going to lay down and they're moving me. I'm doing a circuit. So I'm 28 days in one prison, 28 days in another, total lockdown. Exercise at night. The only other ones who exercised at night was the IRA and people like that. So they used to have a prison officer on each corner and 2 dog handlers, and I had to walk around on my own, and they had to do the same. One person at a time, bang. Couldn't go to the canteen. They wouldn't let, even my food was brought to me in case I'd take, because all they kept saying is, he takes hostages, this guy. So every prison I went to, it's on the thing, he takes hostages. So I'm cat-A straight away. I'm sleeping in a cell with the red light on all night, and they're checking me, make sure, and no one can, they can't put anyone in a cell with me, because I've killed, so they think he could kill anyone before. So I had it pretty good. And they put me in the block, and I quite liked the block because I started reading books.
So the block would be solitary
Solitary
confinement?
yeah, I had 2 years of that. But I was reading me books. I did Open University there. I love the Open University, and I always say education is liberation. That's what I tell the kids today. You know, you want to earn money, get educated. That's how you earn money, right? And I had to thank Charlie Richardson for that, and Reggie Craig, because when I go into Parkhurst, right, I thought, no, because the next stop is Broadmoor. They think I'm a nutcase, right? So I'm going there. Who's on the landing? Charlie Richardson. The other end of the landing is Reggie Cray. Next door to me is Sanel Mesri, Gaddafi's hitman. Right?
Big names on
there. Yeah, they're coming there with all these lunatics. I thought, well, what have I done? So Charlie went to me, you all right, Bob? Because they'd heard that I took the hostage of the governor and thing. And they was all laughing. They went, you crazy sod, you know. And Charlie had a thing, he was a very intelligent man. The Crays weren't. They weren't really intelligent. They were mostly the heavy mob bullying people into giving them money, you know?
Right.
And they was doing it in the East End, all this about the underworld. As I said to people before, the underworld, they try to make it a mafia. And they see if he's rocker, what a mafia. Do you know what I mean? We're earning our own money. We don't want to be involved with a big firm. We control ourselves. And we had all that. And then they would fantasize about starting the mafia up when they get out. It used to be
the Craze?
The Craze. And it used to be funny because if someone come in doing on every sentence, like a life with a natural, they go, when's he getting out? And they used to go, Tuesday after the Craze.
After the Craze.
The Craze never getting out. And they've done themselves up by promoting their books and all that. Instead of keeping a low profile, they're doing films and all that. And what Home Secretary is going to let them out?
For sure,
and glory. So they buried themselves alive. And Charlie said to me, he went like, read this book. And we used to have talks, me and Charlie, and he talked about philosophy. His thing was mining, because he had the scrap metal yards and all that, but he had this thing about mining. And you get fed up with hearing about, armed robbery and all that. We all know what we've done. There's no secrets in there. Everyone knows everyone, and they all know what you're capable of. The most politest place I've ever been in my life, because it was, if you forgot to say good morning to someone, they think you're plotting up on them, and they plot up on you. And there's a lot of ways to kill people in prison, And I proved that. I said to if I want to take you out, I could get a light bulb, grind it up, put it in your sugar, and it'll rip your inside out. And I could get a 6-inch nail, have it hammered down into a stiletto, soak it in excrement, stab you with it, give you toxemia and kill you. There's loads of ways of killing people.
That's pretty insane.
And you can get like boiling milk, sugar in it. And when the guy's sitting there watching telly, just tip it over and burn his face off. I mean, it's a terrible place,
Yeah.
And you've got people in there, like total lunatics, that like chopped up their mother or things like that. There's some really.
This is Parkhurst, basically.
Parkhurst, yeah. It was Britain's Alcatraz.
Crazy.
They called Parkhurst Britain's Alcatraz. So I'm there, and Charlie went to me, get on that, read the books. And he taught me about the Open University. So really, he did the so-called torture game, Charlie.
Yeah, I was going to say a bit of a background on Charlie Richardson. He was head of a South London firm.
He runs but he runs scrap metal yards. He had loads of business. He was running business in South Africa. I mean, half of these people.
Really?
They went to what Charlie really got his jail for, because he'd become my best friend, Charlie. And Reggie was a good friend of mine, but Charlie was like my mentor into education, because he loved reading. He had an inquiring mind. He was doing long firms, setting up long firms before anyone knew that. The Americans copied it, and I was doing it in America. He'd set up a company, build up the credit, and then all of a sudden vanish, and everything's gone, the money. And he was earning a lot of dough, and he was earning money out the mining. Very intelligent man.
He had mines in Africa, basically.
Yeah. He was doing it with Uganda, all that.
Right.
But what got him to do the big sentence from what they'd done, Charlie, is he was working with the Bureau of State Security in South Africa, boss, to get mining rights. And they said to him, well, look, we'll give you the land, you can mine, but we want you to bug the Prime Minister's office, Harold Wilson. So Charlie had someone in there who was a cleaner, and they bugged the Prime Minister's office. So Charlie got that.
What Prime Minister is that for? Is it in Africa, or
no,
are we talking about
here?
Here? Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
Harold Wilson. He bugged his office, right? And was giving it to the information to the Bureau of State Security to get the mining rights. And he did, the bird he was knocking about with, South African bird, she was like a Voortrekker, an Afrikaner. And she was a spy. but Charlie didn't know she was a spy.
Fucking hell.
She introduced him to the Bureau of State Security. They knew he was a villain, and they done a deal with him. You bug the Prime Minister's office, we give you land to mine. And just business to Charlie, you know. Very intelligent man, you know. He knew the business back to front. Right. Taught me everything about business. And so we did the talk, and he went, if you go out there now, Bobby, doing what you're doing, you're either going to get shot to death, he said, by the police, or another firm is going to try and have you over, or you're going to shoot someone and you're going to get life on and be like the crazy and not getting out.
Wise words.
Yeah, he said to me, he said, but if you go on education, he said, you can run a straight business. He said, you did it with the pine strip. He said, you can run a real good business. He went, you've got the brains for it. And he used to cut snippings out the newspaper. And he used to lay it on your bed. You know, you come in from wherever, like Sportsfield or something, and you find like stocks and shares. And we knew, and it was Charlie. And he said, he had a thing. He said, I hate seeing good talent go to waste. He went, and you're wasting away in here.
Sounds like a really wise man.
He said, half of these people can't help themselves. He went, but you've got a brain. He went, I hate seeing potential go to waste. He went, you can do it straight.
Credit to him, man, yeah.
I read sociology and psychology with the Open University, and they were really good to me. I used to have tutor marked as science. I used to post it out to them, and the prison officers hated it, because now I'm learning about law. I'm really getting clued up by this guy. And he was well respected. He always was a totally well respected Charlie. And when I come to going out, and he said to me, like, now we can get you out of maximum security. He said, because you're nearing the end of your sentence, you do the Open University, you can go to Maidstone, which was Cat B prison. Yeah. He said, as long as you don't kick off in here, he said, you know, it can be done. And that's what happened. I went to Maidstone prison, I've done my Open University, and I used to write poetry. Tony Benn was an MP, he was a good friend of mine, and he wrote the foreword for my poetry book, and they stopped the poetry book because poetry was quite political, you know. I was slagging off governments and CIA and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And I could do it very well. And so I get there, and the librarian, she fell in love with my poetry, and she was my first wife. When I come out there, because we all laughed, they said he couldn't even stop thieving. He knew he's nicked the librarian. You know? And we had our daughter.
That's pretty funny.
We had our daughter, Sophie, not beautiful little fat baby. I loved her to bits. My will changed, and I made a law to myself. I would never let my child see me over a visiting room table in a prison. So I knock it on the head, right? And I loved her, and I still do love her with all my heart. You know, cool. She's married now and all that, but family to me is everything. You know, I've always been a family person. And then my second daughter died, and that messed me up. I don't know if you've ever done it. I got a bottle of brandy, and I drank the whole bottle trying to get drunk, and I couldn't get drunk.
Wow.
Wow. The emotions were to overpower.
Yeah.
And then I had to bury her. You know, we went out, carried the little white coffin, and it ruined my marriage. You know, you can't come back from that. And the marriage crumbled, and I started up the charity. I thought, well, I want to do something good, you know, because first I tried to get a straight job. I couldn't get a straight job with my record. Yeah. So instead of putting Bobby Cummines on, because everyone knew me as Bobby Cummines, I used to put Robert Cummines, which is my real name, Robert.
Right, yeah.
Bobby short for Robert.
Bobby, yeah.
So I write that, and I got a job in Tesco's, right, on the night shift, packing shelves.
Yeah, so right. Tesco was like a supermarket chain for our overseas viewership.
So I was getting £100 a week. I mean, I used to spend that in the pub in the night, you know? So I'm there, but I'm behaving myself. I've got my little packed lunch my wife made me, you know, and I'm going to this place. And I noticed that, you know, you get these young guys, they're career heads. He's got a little plastic wallet, and he's walking around ordering everyone about, and I'm looking at him. And I noticed all the girls in, he was giving all the crisps to, and he was like chatting them up. I'm 5'6", there's more fat than a greasy chip, and he's giving me these big tins of dog food to pack, right? And I'm pulling it, and I thought, oh, almost got it. He went, oh, you've got to learn how to use a price gun. I thought, price gun? I'll show you how to use a gun. I started getting the hump with him, you know? Yeah. And it also got a little bit like he was coming on, being a bit of a bully. Right, so I wait for him, and he goes out to the freezer. I'm going behind him. I thought, I'm going to put a stop to this guy, you know? So I go in there, and I went, come here. I went, see that mate hook? He went, what? I went, see that mate hook? I went, I'll hang you up there, I'll cut your arse. I said, and I'll cut your eyes out where you're looking at me. I said, don't fuck with me, right? Now, I've left him, I ain't hurt him, left him, come out. He's running in the office, locked himself in, phoned head office, all security's come. you either leave the premises or we call the police. Now, I ain't been out of nick that long. And I thought, no, I can't go down again. My wife's pregnant at the time with my daughter. So I walked out, went home. My wife went, you're home early. She went, what's going on? I said, I think I've got the sack. She went, what? I said, I had an industrial dispute, right?
Industrial dispute, yeah.
Right? So, not years later, she found out what I'd done, but now I'm trying to get jobs. I'm sending letters out. And I was telling the truth, I've done jail, I wasn't getting no jobs. So I thought, I've got to think, I'm thinking on schema. So a lot of building firms were going bankrupt at the time, folding in. It was the time of the recession for builders.
Right.
So I thought, right, so I'll get my pals to buy these little building firms that got the skin. All I wanted was the name. I did a notepaper, right? And I would put this firm down that I'd worked for 5 years, where they send a letter to a firm, it's coming back to me because my pals would get the letters, come back, and I'd write myself out a beautiful CV. I could have got a job as a Prime Minister, some CV, and I'm getting these jobs. And I always in the back of my mind, because you had this bloody internet thing, and I'm thinking, I can't use the name Bobby Cummines. Got people, because if someone thinks, oh, Bob's a nice guy, and types my name, and it's all going to come out. Right? So, didn't want none of that. And I worked for a Booker's, a big cash and carry firm, and I was the wines and spirits manager. I was buying all their booze. A couple of people seen me working and thought I was a good prospect, and I wound up working for Van Gill System, big Dutch company.
Right.
I was their purchasing manager and their warehouse control manager. And I was earning loads of dough, and I had a company car and everything was hunky-dory, sweet as a nut. And my marriage went down a pan, and I bumped into an old parole officer who was in prison with me, who was in Maidstone. And I was earning money, I was buying aggregates, sand and cement, diamonds. I'm a mover, and I'd done it all right. There weren't villainy involved, I was doing it right.
No, credit to you.
And this guy said to me, knew my past, because he was a parole officer in there, and I told him to stuff the parole. I went, no, I said, when I get out of here, I'm going to take what you owe me in big bags of money. But then when she got pregnant, I couldn't do that, because I was going to hit banks again.
Right.
But things have changed. The cameras all over the gaff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it now.
Definitely not, yeah.
You've got a thing called intelligence-led policing. They build up dossiers on you. And these are not Dixon or Doc Green coppers. Some of these have got degrees, they're psychology, and they know how to work. They're clever people. Never underestimate the cops. Never, never, never. That's the big mistake you make. You think you're larger than them. You've got one thing in your favour when you're robbing banks or whatever you're doing. You're one step ahead of them because you've done the work, and they're on catch up, but they catch up very fast because they've got their informants out there. So you're sitting there, you might be the centre of attention in a pub or in a club, because everyone knows who you are. You're one of the chaps, and knew the past, but you're the loneliest guy in the world because you're looking at everyone. You're thinking, who can I trust? Does he want to take my place? Is he setting me up to be shot or get nicked? So I'll go away and then he takes over. So you're looking at your own firm, you're looking at the police, and you're looking at people who might want the reward money. So you're totally paranoid. And then you're laying in bed, and you're laying in. Other people going to bed, they have a dream under their pillow. I was going with a gun under mine every night. Because I didn't know someone was going to kick that door in and try and do me, because I'd done a few people, so there could have been enemies. And it just got crazy. And when I come out of the nick and I started doing it, and this guy said to me, he said, look, you know the score, and you're clever, Bobby. You've done the Open University and done that. He said, we've got young kids out here. He said, they look up to people like you. And I would like them to have the life I got now. It's very nice, but I wouldn't like them to have the life I had then. It's destruction, right? And the P in prison stands for paranoia anyway. And so you're laying in your toilet basically. Well, in them days it was slop out. We had buckets and you just slop it out, and you could smell the prison 2 miles away.
Oh wow.
And you're laying in that bed, and there's nothing going on. It don't smell like Chanel. Nothing nice about jail. And you're sitting there and you're buried alive in a concrete tomb basically. And I used to look at guys, and they'd be sort of like in the 50s, 60s, talking about the next thing they're going to do, this bank, or they're going to do big drug deal and all that. And I think, you ain't got another sentence in you. You'd be lucky if you get out of here with a Zimmer frame, get realistic. Because now I've read about me, I've read the psychology books, so I thought, well, what makes me different from these people? And I realised then, that I was a small guy, but I had a massive ego. I mean, my ego was 6'6" and 5 foot across the shoulders, you know, because I believed I could do anything. Even today, if I know I can't do something, I think little people are like that because the Crows weren't big guys. And
It's like small man complex or something.
Yeah. And I think what it is, you have to fight from the day you're at school because the kid's bigger than you and they're bullies. But I learned that bullies depend on their size and intimidation, but they're cowards, you know, because when you go, I've had them kneel down in the front, I've had it to their head and they cry like babies, right? And so I've got no respect for that. I don't like bullies and I don't like rude people. I don't like people with bad manners, you know. I was brought up properly, you know, I had good manners. And even the old girls, I mean, when we got nicked, they'd come out in court and they'd say, look, we know he's a naughty boy, but he's not a bad guy, you know. He's on a Sunday, I used to buy them their first drink and my pal owned the fruit stall. So we used to make up the Sunday, you know, like the potatoes and all that. My pal owned the butchers. We're going there Saturday night and say, what you got over, like make them a little parcel in our local little pub, you know. So we looked after the elderly people.
That's commendable,
and, and people liked us. And if we heard someone was like, had a big electricity bill coming in, they couldn't pay it, we just put a brown envelope through the door with the money in. They knew where it's come from, but we never said anything that it was from us.
I definitely respect that.
But people liked us and we weren't rude people. And the old girl said, you know, he's a very kind and very generous person. And the judge went, when you do what he does for a living, you can afford to be generous, you know. So
Wow.
didn't do me a lot of favours. But when he said that in the court, he said, I didn't want to do Bobby, he said, but the police wanted him more than they wanted anyone. He said,
you were hot property.
He said, I like Bobby. And me being me, with a big mouth, I said, well, I'm glad you don't hate me. He's putting me away for 30 years. You know? Everyone started laughing in the court. The judge pulled him in. And he went, but the police said, I wouldn't have to give evidence against him. He said, because they was going to do him. And he went, I beg your pardon? He said, they said they're going to do him. He went, what do you mean do him? He said, they're going to shoot him. So I wouldn't have to give it. Of course, now he's their main prosecution witness. I see that judge's face and I thought, lovely, right? I'm looking at 30 years, remember? That judge hearing all this. And then I thought myself, I sat down with the firm because we were all in jail together. So I've done a lot of us. Sat down with him and I said, look, I have this philosophy, better one go than all you. Because then they can be out earning money and looking after me while I'm in jail. If we all go together, no one's earning money. That's what I'm saying. To me, it was purely business. I didn't want to hurt people. I had to get to where I wanted to get.
Yeah.
But I was doing other people.
Yeah.
So I said,
we're definitely going to touch on that soon. I think we might have just gone too far, like really far into it. So if I can just backtrack a little bit, and if we were to talk about Kennedy. So how did Kennedy?
I loved Kennedy.
How did Kennedy come about? How did you first get acquainted with Kennedy?
Right. Well, what happened was, we was bashing each other up with hatchets and blades, and you know, when we was gangs, we were fighting off other gangs because I wanted the whole lot. I didn't want pieces of the cake. I wanted the whole cake. And the older boys, they were armed robbers and they had guns, and that's what clicked me. I think that's what I need, a gun. So I talked to this guy who I know was a gun dealer. He could get you any gun you wanted. And I'd heard about sawn-offs and all that. I thought, yeah, that fit under my coat. It's nice, you know. And I said to him, I want a 410 double-barrel shotgun. He went, what are you going to do with it? I went, earn money. I said, and that's what I told him. I went, and a box of cartridges. You don't go having a gun with you, you ain't got no bullets.
Yeah.
So I said, and a box of cartridges. He went, I can get it for you tonight. He went, when it comes to this, I went, I'll give you the money now. Go and get me it. He got me the gun. Now I got the gun, and
what was the damage as far as what you paid?
I paid in them days. I think it was about 300 quid. I paid for it. Right, fully kitted, fully done, sweet bit of nut. You know, nice tool. And I felt the power in it. You know, I had that gun, and I thought, I can do anything, because I was quite prepared in my head to pull the triggers. Then, you know, I'd already let a few off, and then once I felt the kick and.
And you were how old?
16.
16, yeah.
So I looked at it, and we couldn't say to someone, I'll bring the gun round, because everyone will know you're talking about a shooter. So I'd give it a name. And my birthday's the 23rd of November, right? Well, President Kennedy got shot on the 22nd, got assassinated. So I called the gun Kennedy, because I thought Kennedy was a nice guy, and I liked my gun. So when I wanted the gun, I used to say, go and get Kennedy. Now, if anyone was listening, they think I'm talking about a bloke named Kennedy.
Clue, yeah.
Wouldn't have a clue. So that was the shooter. And we had 38s and all that. But I used to go and get Kennedy. And they knew then we get armed up. We're going to battle or we're going to rob. And that's how Kennedy come into being. And
Right.
I love that gun. Even now.
Do you still have it?
No, no.
Oh, no, yeah, you know,
No,
allegedly, anyway.
No, they've got the gun. The old Bill got the gun.
Sweet.
And that's how I got nicked, because I was going around to, someone said, this guy said he could get anything. So I thought he was bullshitting. So I said, okay, get me an hand grenade, right?
This is the same fella?
This is the guy who done the villainy on us. I said, get me an hand grenade. He went, I went, how much you want for an hand grenade? He went, 16 quid. Now, we're going back in the 60s, you know? So he comes in with the hand grenade, he bought 2. So I went to my brother, it's fake, right? I didn't believe it was a real hand grenade. I thought he's bought a dad one and he's trying to nick a few quid on me. So we go over to Finsbury Park. I said, if we go over, Frank drove me over there. I pulled the pin out and threw it in the lake. Boom! It's gone up.
No way.
I said, get rid of that one. I said, they're alive, right? So we give it to another firm. I think it was over in, where was it over? It was, I think it was this neck of the woods. We got rid of it to a guy over here. I sold it for 20 quid because I had to make some money. I'm not going to give it away. So he took that. But we was having the guns and we'd been doing the armed robberies. And out of the business with the Triads, I thought to myself, oh, yeah, get a spray and pray, you know, machine gun. And I said to him, and he said, I can get you an Uzi, but I want 2.5 grand for it. I went, done. So now, what I don't know is he's already in with the old Bill and he's giving names up. Now, we didn't know this, right?
This grass.
Yeah. All of a sudden, people start disappearing, yeah?
What getting like banged?
Getting nicked.
Yeah, getting nicked, yeah.
Right? People, you know, people I've known for years, all of a sudden, like they done security guards, security vans, bang, they was gone. And the old Bill come in, they wiped North London out, wiped the whole of the firms out. That's what I'm saying, never underestimate them, they're going to get you.
Definitely.
Anyone who thinks they could, prison's full of people who thought they were smarter than the law. They can wait, they've got intelligence they're policing, they've got computers, bugs, everything now. You're not going to beat them, right? So it's a waste of time. That's why I don't do things like that anymore, right? Because I know I'm going to lose. So why get into a fight with that mob? And now they've got arms as well and they can shoot you.
Yeah.
Right? Why get into all that? And also you've got the Proceeds of Crime Act. So not only do they put you away for 30 years or whatever, all the money you nicked, all the property you got, they nick it all back. So now you're doing jail. No, it's not good business.
Yeah.
You know, it's not good business. So I looked at it and I thought, no, not good business. So then this probation guy, he said, well, you know, these kids, we want to be a volunteer. So I was a volunteer for SOVA, Society of Voluntary Associates. I was one of there. And I said, well, give me the bad ones. I said, I don't want the easy going one. I went, I'll take the ones that no one else wants. And I did right well, turned a few of them around and they went, well. And I thought, well, why am I working for a volunteer? I know my people. It's my mothers that are crying in these houses, my children that are dying and politicians that are lying still. I'll open up my own charity. So I opened up my own charity because now it's a business. I opened it up, me and my mate, 6 quid in my garage because I'm a straight goer. And we're on television. First off, they said, when they heard about the charity, they went, it's a front for this underworld, this mythological underworld. They went, it's organised crime, but you know, it's a front, they're doing villainy. They're trying to get into MPs and all that. I mean, you didn't have to get into them, they're all crooked anyway. And no, I've said to people, you know, people go to me about the House of Lords. I was a special advisor for the House of Home Affairs Select Committee for the House of Lords, House of Commons, John Denham, on the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act. And I started looking at it, I think, I can really do this stuff. Because now I've been educated,
Yeah.
I know how to put it together, and I know how to run a business. So it started off with 6 quid. Then we got grants coming in, and we had European Social Fund grants, and we had a guy who knew about grants, how to get grants, and so we brought him on the firm, and in the end, we was pulling in things like £100,000 donations, and it become a national association of offenders, ex-offenders. Then I went to China, Africa, Japan, Europe. I was going all over the world, flying over the world, looking at prison systems, what was going right, what was wrong, why people was reoffending. And I was doing public speaking and I earned a lot of money doing that. And they was paying me £1,000 a day plus the hotels and all that. So I used to do it. I'd done it for the Home Office. I had all the prison service there telling them what they was doing wrong. You know, you treat people like, you tell people they're bad, then you've given them a license to be bad. You know, it cost, in them days, it cost £57,400 a year to keep a young offender in prison, not maximum security, just a young offender. Well, I could put them on a training course and give them a trade for life. Not everyone wants a university. So I can put them on a training course. They can do bricklaying, they can do plumbing, they can do electrical things, and they've got skills now to earn money legally. Now, if you don't do that, there's going to be a drug dealer on the corner go, if they can't get a job, come and work with me, I'll give you £400 a day. So what you're going to do? Don't take rocket. You're going to go on the dole and get your silly dole money, or you're going to work with a drug dealer. So I noticed a lot of them, and they couldn't get bank accounts, right? They have to go to a post office. So the drug dealer, if they owe the money, know exactly when their payday is and be waiting for them. Just happened to the women. I was worried about the women. And so what I've done, I was doing all this speaking, the charity's growing bigger, and I'm getting well known because I'm on television, radio, you name it, and then newspapers have boom, this guy's moving it. And I knew what was going wrong because I grew up with these people. So I had credibility because they went, look, he's done all that. So I'm not a social worker who's read a book and
you've actually lived it, yeah.
Yeah, so I've lived what they thought was the dream. I've lived it.
Yeah.
And it was a bloody nightmare, but I lived it, right? So I used to go in schools, talk to them and de-glamorise crime, tell them what it was really like, that you're going to get pinched, you're going to get shots, you know. And I used to say, I had a saying, mugs take drugs and fools carry tools, right?
Bars.
And you know, little rhyme that they could keep in their head. So, and they asked me, you know, what's it like to shoot someone? I said, well, you pull a trigger, that's how you shoot. I said, and they, you know, I never glamorised it. And I used to say, you know, you go out with one, when people come looking for you, they're coming looking for you with one, and you're 33 times more likely to be a victim of violent crime than a kid who don't carry one. Yeah?
Makes sense.
So he might get bashed up, but he ain't going to get shot or stabbed. So they got the message. I was getting the message across to them, and everyone was going, all the head teachers going, the schools turned around, they're talking about him months later, you know, and then other people, well, you come to our school, and I used to go into prisons and talk to my own people. I go, yeah, you're really shrewd, aren't you? It's like you're all in here, you know, I've been in here with you. And the prison officers used to look like that. And they go, oh, you want to come over to county? I go, no, I'll go with my people. They went, well, I'll go on the exercise yard with them. These are my people. I'm not here to help you out. I'm here to help them out, right? And they went, well, you can't go on the exercise yard. I went, I've been on an exercise yard all my life. I said, yeah, I know how it works. So I go and talk to them. And I had this young Rastafarian guy, really a smart cookie. His dad used to say, he always said, and that's why I liked, I warmed to him, you know, he was a trier. He was doing it from the age of 10, distributing the puff for his dad. And then as he got older, he done it himself.
And the puff being weed.
Weed, yeah. You know, I'll call it puff, they call it weed,
no,
you know.
For the overseas people.
But, he said, I said, when you get your gear, he said, yes, Bob. I said, you test it to make sure it's good. He said, yeah. I said, quality control. I said, when you're looking at what area is going to get the best money, he said, yeah. I said, market research. I said, and then you're looking at who you're going to lay it on. He said, yeah. I said, distribution, networking. I said, you've got all the skills of a manager. I said, you're just selling the wrong product. If you were selling Chanel, the coppers wouldn't be kicking your door in at 4 o'clock in the morning. They'd be calling you, sir, and you'd be driving a Porsche. Made sense to him.
Wise
right?
words, yeah.
So at this time, I'm working as a specialist advisor in the House of Commons. I always call it the House of Conmen, and the House of Lords was the House of Frauds, right? And because I said to him, I said, I've never ever put a whip across a kid's back to pick cotton for me. I've never chopped someone's hands off because they didn't cut enough rubber. And I didn't try and sell opium to the Chinese because the Chinese war, the box of war. I said, all you people, you're living off your pimps, you're living off of misery.
Right.
That's how you got your money. I said, you're gangsters.
Yeah.
And I called one a gangster. Because he said to me, he went, how do you feel, Bobby? He said, you know, sitting in the House of Lords and you're promoting education. I said, I feel really at home. He said, do you? I said, yeah. I said, I've dealt with gangsters all my life. He didn't like it. I basically called him a gangster. So everyone's going, well, Bobby, you know. And then I get this, in the office, I'm doing all this stuff and the charity's going really well. And I met my second wife at Yumi. She's Japanese. I met her and ran up, because I'd been divorced by then, ran up marrying her because her husband had died and she had a young son, Kai, so I treated him like my own. I still treat him like my own son.
Right.
And when they used to come over and visit his dad's grave, they stay with me again. And I thought, you know, I know what it's like to lose it. I lost my daughter, so I know what it's like for a kid to lose his dad. So I used to make up big presents, you know, like big stockings at Christmas for him, so he could open them up. And
That's proper.
And no, I felt his pain.
Yeah.
And he was a good kid. He is a good kid. And I'm a very impulsive person as well, right? If I get something in my head, I'm going to do it. If people say you can't do it, I'll go, yeah, right, you can't do it. I can do what I like. And I've always had that attitude. And so I wound up and I said to her, look, we've been seeing each other now for a couple of years. I said, how about we get married? And she went, what? She said, you'll have to meet my mum. You know, mum's in Japan. So the mum goes on the internet, and Bobby Cummines comes out, and she goes, Yakuza. She said, no, he's not a gangster.
She thought, yeah, straight away.
Organised crime. So I met the mum, and the mum really liked me, and I really loved her. And when she got cancer, I used to fly over to Japan, and me and my wife and Kai, we used to go up that hospital every day and see her. And my brother-in-law, who's married to he comes from Somalia. He's a lovely guy. He couldn't speak English. He spoke French.
Right.
I couldn't speak French, knew little bits of it, but we both couldn't speak Japanese. So it caused a bond between us, and we like brothers, you know. Right. And even now, as Bobby, you know, when's he coming back over? And I'll go over and see him. You know, I've got a granddaughter, a little beautiful little Japanese granddaughter. My son, Kai, has got a little girl, she's beautiful. And we all get on nice, you know. I'll see him once every 18 months or once every 2 years, you know. So when I go there, it's like you're courting again. When they lived there, like any other couple, me and his mum, we'd have our up days, we'd have our down days, and 1 minute we love each other, next minute we want to rip each other's throats out. But when I go over there, because they ain't seen me for so long, it's like, bang, it's like birthday for everyone, because I take my presents over.
All the goods.
Yeah, and it's good. And also, you know, I've got loads of friends now. I don't have friends. I've got, I call them extended family, because you can't pick a family. You pick a family as you get older and wiser. And because you might have a brother, you hate him, but you've got no choice because he's your brother. And they say,
that's really true.
You know, but you can meet people that you can love and respect, and you could wish they was your family. So what you do, you make your family. And when their children are born, my jeweller must think I'm a religious maniac, right? I buy them crosses, because I'm Catholic, so I buy them crosses. And they know me, I play with the kids, and I love kids. I like kids and I like animals. I probably like them when I like most people, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like people to beat up women. There's no need for it. If you've got the hump with your wife, you just walk out the door until she calms down.
I agree.
I don't agree people abusing kids, beating kids and all that game. No, that to me, that's bullying.
Definitely.
Yeah? I don't like that, and I don't like people that are cruel to animals, because an animal gives you total love and trusts you and will die for you. So why do you want to hurt an animal? You know, so I'm a bit of a softie around there.
And I'm the same way. I agree with those things, to be honest.
And I'm always polite to people. You know, I open doors for women, you know, to be shopping. You know,
courtesy.
I was brought up. I don't like bad manners, and I don't like people around me who've got bad manners. If they want to do that, that's their business. But don't be in my company, because you're going to offend me, and then I might want to do something nasty to you. So please just stay away and just have nice people around me.
That's fair.
And well, we done it. They said to me when I was chief executive of Unlock, the charity, the first charity, and they said, we're having a problem with getting the cash, you have to go to the post office, and the dealers are outside, or the heavy mob's outside taking their money off the girls.
Yeah.
So I said, well, why ain't you got bank accounts? And they went, we can't get a bank account. I thought, that's it, right? So I go and have a meeting with the Bank of Scotland. A friend of mine knew the chairperson of the Bank of Scotland, so I go and meet them. I said, look, I don't want you to give us credit, right? No credit cards. I want basic bank cards, cash cards, so they can go anywhere in your machines and get their cash. Now that means that when they get their money, it goes into their bank account. They can cash that in. They don't have to go, no one can plot up on them, right? Because they go in the cash machine. Right. So I took that problem away. Another problem, they give me the bank accounts. So now any ex-offender comes out can have a basic bank account.
All right. So Bob, previously there was an instance involving some triads, I believe, and I guess they summoned you to a little sort of meeting. And if you tell us about that.
Well, how it happened, Frank came in a pub and he said to me, there's some Chinamen want to see you. He said something about Triads. I went, well, look, this is a naughty firm, this mob. I knew them from prison, you know what Triads were. and I got on well with them in prison. They was in for heroin, but that was their business. I didn't deal in that, so I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes. And he said, they want to meet you, Ivory Corner. So I went, all right. I said, no, this is an heavy firm. These are naughty boys. So get Kennedy. Right, I'm going up there with a gun. And, you know, I don't know what I'm walking into. You know, I could be walking into a setup. So I got the gun under my coat, used an old car, because you don't go to a shooting with a new car. You've got to crash it up. Yeah. You know, crash up a new BMW, you take the old car out for the shooting. So we've gone up there, met them at Ivory Corner. They pulled up in 2 motors. Made me laugh. The geezer's he's got the beige overcoat on, the pilot glasses.
Right.
And he's got it draped over his shoulders. It looked like a 60s gangster film. I couldn't help it. I started laughing. Then he said, I've come to see Bobby Cummines. And I went, I'm Bobby Cummines. He looked me up and down. I mean, I'm 5'6", more fat and a greasy chip. He thinks he's expecting a big guy like you know?
Oh, right.
So I said, I'm Bobby Cummines. He says, right, we want to come on here. We want to sell heroin on... I went, no, you ain't seen that shit on my manor. Don't have it on my manor. I don't want a bit of puff, you know, people chilling out, but I don't want people getting hooked up and get robbing their families and all that muck that goes with it. I said, no, you ain't doing it. And he went, you know we are. I said, you know I am. He said, yeah, I know you are. I said, I know you are. He opens out his coat, he's got an axe. He went, we chop people up. I went, is that right? Put my overcoat back, pulled out the sign. I'm going to blow your fucking head off. I went, how about that? Come on my manor with that, I'm going to shoot you in the face. They've gone. And my firm have gone to me, Bobby, what you done? You know, we're going to have a war here, you know, because they're notorious people, nasty.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
And I said, go on, piss off back to Gerrard Street, or wherever you come from. I said, you come here again, I'm going to shoot you. So Mum was going, oh, you know, we've done it. They never come back.
Right.
And so it was all sweet. Everything was hunky-dory.
So basically, after they sort of just got back in the car and just fucked off,
They fucked off. They probably went back to Gerrard Street and stuck my name up, and some of them tribes went, no, don't mess with that firm, because they will shoot you. Because don't forget, word goes around when you're shooting people, they will shoot you. And so they've gone, it ain't worth the aggravation. Because if I start letting guns off, they ain't going to be selling heroin, because the old bill's going to come in.
Definitely,
so it's all finished. Everyone's business is going to go. So they were wise.
Yeah. So if you can also tell us about what I guess you regard as the eternal triangle of violence.
Well, what it is, it was me. I was educating people, like my own firm, because don't forget, they were all straight goers until I corrupted them and they saw the money. And what I used to say was, look, if someone's getting out of order, first what you do is you educate them. You tell them what's going to happen to them. If they don't stop then you intimidate them, take them out, take them to some place, kneel them down, fire, put the gun to their head, turn it, fire it into the ground and go, next one's going in the back of your nut. And if they come heavy, like trying to kill me, which they tried to assassinate me 3 times, then you eliminate them, because you don't get them a second time to have a pop at you. I mean, I've got bullet holes in me and I've been ripped open, you know, and I'm pretty scarred up in certain places. And so when you do the eternal triangle, you always warn people first. They don't learn, then you take them in a motor, give them a few clumps, liven them up. Yeah. Right? Maybe hit them across the legs with an hammer or something, you know, so they know you're not playing about. But if they come on you heavy and they come with a tool, then I'm shooting them. They ain't going to get a chance to shoot me. If I know they're tooled up, I'm giving it to them. Right. So that was the eternal triangle.
So we say education,
intimidation, elimination.
Right, in that order?
In that order.
Right. Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. And also, obviously, you've got your book titled "I'm Not a Gangster."
Yeah, I'm not a gangster.
That's something you want to make very clear.
Listen, I've never wanted to be a gangster. I was a businessman. My business was crime. It was purely business. I didn't want to go and being rude to people and showing off. I wanted a low profile. I just wanted the money. I didn't want to hurt people.
Would you say that you're probably a minority as far as like people who've done crime and sort of have that mentality? As far as like...
It's a different ball game. Look, the thing is, you get these big guys. I'm the governor. The only governors I know is people who run pubs and people who run prisons, right? So what they mean is I can have a fight, and they damage you badly, these people. They're professional fighters. They're going to damage you up. I ain't going to roll on the floor with someone like that. So it's easier if I think, yeah, you can knock me out, but the next time I'm coming in, Justin, I'll blow your fucking head off, you know? I can shoot you and kill you. And they know I've done it, so they take me very seriously. If I go, yeah, it's on you. You wouldn't want me on your doorstep. Definitely. If you're the enemy.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's the title of your book, I'm Not a Gangster.
I'm Not a Gangster. It sold 94,000 copies in the first month. It's a bestseller.
Nice.
And the second book, Parker's, that's still going. But the real book is about my life. I'm not a gangster.
Yeah.
The write-ups that got was unbelievable. People going, you've got to see it.
I want to talk about a certain particular section where you refer to someone as Ernie.
Yeah.
And this was the guy that was dealing you arms, basically.
The guy was dealing arms, and he was the one who rolled over us on.
Right. So how long would you say he was working with the old Bill?
Oh, I'd say, I don't, I could get paranoid on it. I don't know whether he was working with them from the off, because he was selling a lot of guns. Look, it's easy done. He's a gun dealer. The old Bill capturing him with a gun. They go, all right, we're going to let you go, but you tell us who you're supplying. Yeah. They know who the firms are now and who's doing what, because then they ready are you, and they're very good at surveillance. You go down the street now, every 100 yards, 300 yards, there's a camera. It's intelligence-led policing. It ain't called stupid policing. It's intelligence-led. They're getting information. Not only that, now you've got Interpol. I go into another country, boom, I'm flagged up straight away. Organised crime. I can't go into America, right? I'm barred from America, organised crime, because I had the Mafia in prison with me. I've made friends with them. They was
What's that, the Italian Mafia?
Yeah. They was done with £15 million bond swindler. They got captured at Heathrow, took off the plane, that someone had shopped them in America, and they got big lumps of bird over it.
Do you know who they were associated with as far as the 5 families? Or?
Sorry?
Do you know who they were associated with as far as the 5 families?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm not going to make things up because I don't know.
Sure.
But they were Mafia. We all knew they were Mafia.
Right.
And then you had the Triads in there. Then you had the Rastas in there. You had all firms in there, but we was all in the same boat. And so we all made good friends, I used to have a thing, we had Muslims in there, so I knew when Ramadan was coming, my friends who were Muslims, I'd go and eat with them. When the Triads was cooking Chinese, I'd go and eat with them. And certain the Italians, I'd have Italian cooking. Right. So every night I could have a different meal, but cooked by the people who knew how to cook it. Nice. And so we all was friends, like they'd go, oh Bob, do you know someone in the kitchen, we need a bit of steak? I'd talk to the guy, get him a bit of steak, pop it in the pot. I'm there for a free meal and I've earned the money off of the steaks. So,
that's decent, yeah.
It was all scratching each other's back, you've got to survive.
Nice. So, as a result of Ernie's information, or who you refer to as Ernie, the police, I guess, done somewhat of an operation on yourself where
they've done.
It was an arms deal or something, I believe?
Yeah, I wanted to buy, I had the Art of the Trade things, it was getting a bit naughty and the name was getting, I always try to keep it quiet and keep it down, I wanted to earn money, I didn't want my name put about,
Right, yeah.
But I thought, well, these firms now, we started having the Russians coming in and you had firms coming in from different countries and they didn't mind killing people. So I thought to myself, I'm going to get a spray and pray. That's what we called the machine gun, the spray and pray. And
that's funny.
I said to them, probably spray it and they all pray. So, yes, it don't hurt them. So he said, I can get you an Uzi. And that was the setup. Right, so he's told the old Bill he's coming around to collect an Uzi. I was on the wanted list, everyone's going, Bobby, the old Bill is rounding everyone up and they're looking for you. So I thought, now I've got to go and get that gun. So I'll go round to his house. He phoned me up. He was probably from a law shop. He's phoned me and went, I've got that Uzi for you. I've gone round to pick up the Uzi and they was waiting for me. They had an ice cream van. As soon as I got out the taxi, they hit the bell, like you think it's just Tony Bell. I hate ice cream vans that got the ringers on them because that was a positive idea. It was me and I had my other brother with me. And they come from everywhere. They was up on the roof. They had rifles on me. I mean, the amount of armoury they had, it was a joke. And the guy done me a favour. He shouted over a loudspeaker, "Don't touch your pockets or you will be shot." And we're armed police. Don't touch your pockets, you will be shot. Come down and lay in the middle of the, lay down in the road. And I've got a £600 suit on. I went, go fuck yourself. I ain't ruining my suit. I said, I'd only go on my knees for church. I said, for God. I said, I ain't going to go on my knees for you, mob. All right. Keep your hands where they are. We'll bring a car up. They brought up this Range Rover, put your hands on the bonnet. So I put your hands on the bonnet. They pulled a coat over me head to make sure I ain't carrying nothing, searched me. Right, you're nicked. And that was the end of it. And then when I get in the law shop, been nicked before, I went, right, silly as it. And they went, Bobby, you can have what you want. We've got 300 pages on just you. Okay. And I went, what? And then he started telling me what was in the pages. And in my head, I'm thinking, who has done this to me?
So they was on to you for a minute.
They was on to me. Yeah. This has been going. They've been targeting me, and it was my turn to go.
Yeah.
They went, now we're going to get him, right? and they was on about people being murdered and all that, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's got to be someone on the firm, because it's, you know, no one knows what they're doing, only those who work with us.
Like the information they had.
And I'm looking, I'm thinking of all the people that work with me, all the gang that's with me, and I'm thinking, who's the weak link here, you know? And I'm laying in that cell that night, and I'm thinking, and they're letting me have my suits and all that, you know. "Oh, you can send out for your meals if you want, Bobby." "Oh yeah, all right." And I thought, then they never fitted me up. You know, people say, "Oh, they verbal me up." They didn't. They had enough on me. They was putting me away. They knew they got me, and I knew they got me. So I just sat there and went, really. And then next thing, I'm up court, go to court, and that's when we find out, when we get the statements, who the rat is. And it was him.
Right.
And he's not only done us, he's done other people and all, a lot of other people. You know, he give them the lots. And they swooped on North London. That's what I'm saying. You're never going to beat these guys. They come in, firm-handed, all tooled up, and they just took us away.
It sounds like they don't play fair either.
No. Well, I'll shoot one of them, I'm lifed off. They shoot me, they get a medal. So
exactly.
That's, the favours are always in their end.
Exactly.
So then we go up the Old Bailey. Because I chinned him. I was in the cell, coming out of the cell.
What's that, the holding cell?
Yeah, we was going up court, and we're downstairs in the cells. He's walking along, laughing and joking with the coppers, right?
Wow.
I'm in the toilet. Now I've heard his voice, so I thought, plot up. As he's come by the door, I've shot at him, I've hit him right on the jaw. Next thing, all the bells gone off, right? So they bring me up to court afterwards, and they made all my co-accused stand in front of it, handcuffed me round the dock. And the judge went, not having that, because if a jury sees that, they automatically think he's guilty.
Yeah.
And they said, well, can we have the arm, please? He said, no, prison officers will be with him. So they took the cuffs off, and I'm sitting there on my own. But by the fact I'm sitting there on my own and they're all in front of me, they know who the governor is, so I know I'm going anyway. And I just resigned myself to the fact, I said, you know, the party's over. You know, it happens to everyone, you know. And if you think, like anyone who thinks they're not going to get caught is a fool, because at the end of the day, you can only run, they let you run for so long. They're building up a case all the time. They're getting their information.
You keep doing it, the worse it's gonna be for you,
So, and they're not playing games when they come in, especially first up, they're going, right, well, we've been convicted of manslaughter, so we know he's killed, right? He's picking up a machine gun, right? We need the heavy mob on this. And then they sent the SWAT team in. And and Charlie said to me, he said, it made me laugh. He said, me and Reggie were saying, they only send the SWAT team in for terrorists. They sent the SWAT team in. They meant to do you, boy.
Yeah.
You know, and well, I got me bird. And
so what was the actual charge that they hit you with?
armed robbery, possession of firearms, armed robbery, discharging firearms in a public place.
So you was the youngest man ever to be convicted of armed robbery at 16.
At 16
and
was
now,
the first.
And now you've got it again, sort of thing.
Now I'm up. Now they've got all the lot.
Yeah.
There's no way in a million years I'm getting out of this, you know. And I resigned myself. I thought, here it comes, and I know it's going to be double figures, but they were saying 30s and all that. And in the end, I got a 12, and the others got sort of 5s and 6s.
Right.
You know, but I got the big lump.
Yeah.
And went away. I'd done it all, because I took the governor's hostage in prison and things like that. So they didn't love me, and they used to go, parole, I used to go on your bike. If you got all this on me, I said, like, just put me down as one of the baddest men in the country. Who's going to give me parole? They ain't in it. So I ain't playing your games. And I told him, I said, I'm in prison. What are you going to do? Put me in jail? I'm here. I'm in the block. I'm in maximum security in the block. You've played all your cards. I ain't played mine yet. I used to say that to them. I ain't played mine yet. It's my turn. Whenever I feel like it, I can do anything I want. And I've always had that mentality. If you eat the meal, you've got to pick up the bill. And that's the same with armed robbery, that's the same with kiting, right? One day, you're going to have to pick up the bill. So don't moan when you get nicked, because you know you're at it. So why cry about it? When you know you've had your fun. Like the Crows, they only run the East End for 10 years, and they're putting away for the rest of their life. Every one of them died in jail.
Yeah.
And it's sad, really, you know, because if Reggie had been with his brother Charlie, they would have earned money. But it was Ronnie was off his rocker.
And Charlie was the eldest, I believe.
Charlie was the eldest one. I'd done bird with Charlie when I got dumped in the manslaughter.
Right.
He was a nice man, an absolute gentleman. I thought a lot of Charlie. And Reggie was all right, you know. But it was Ronnie who was crazy. That's why they put him in Broadmoor, Somerset House 3.
Yeah, to say
because
the
he was
least,
off his rocker,
yeah.
right? But he had so much influence over Reggie. He killed Georgie Cornell,
yeah.
and then he went, right, you do Jack the Hat now. I've done one, you do one. Otherwise, Reggie wouldn't have killed him.
Oh, was that what?
That's what it was. Tip of that gun. You ain't got. And they give him a gun. The gun jammed, and someone give him a blade, and he stabbed him through the eye and killed him and stabbed him up. Dead.
What wasn't it? I've seen you like make previous mentions of like Ronnie sort of like communicating to Reggie to cause trouble.
They used to go and visit each other.
Yeah.
And they used to send letters to each other. It was really weird. I don't know if it's the thing about twins, but if Reggie was depressed, you could bet Ronnie was depressed. It was a weird, they lived in each other's minds, I think, you know, and all this thing about running the Mafia. They were like naughty kids, not silly kids, but because they were very dangerous people. They would kill you, well, they're killers, you know, you take them seriously, and they hurt a lot of people. But the thing was that Reggie would send messages down, like someone's going to Parker, tell him to cut so-and-so, because if he thought someone disrespected him or said something about him, he'd want them carved up. And he sent a silly one down about Charlie, you know, do Charlie Richardson, because he's a South London firm. And it got heard, and all the boys in there, you can't be true to two, you take one side or the other. You can't stand in the middle.
Yeah.
And because I knew both of them, I knew Reggie and I knew Charlie.
You had a relationship with both of them.
They said to me, Bobby, you know, this guy's been done for 15 years and they're ready to go home. Now, if it kicks off in there, people are going to get killed, because you're all killers in there, especially in Parkers, terrorists and all that. So it's a serious bit of work. And I mean, I had half a garden shear, you know, as a blade. It was about that long. And they all had weapons. Everyone had weapons. And they said, can you go and have a talk with them? You know, we really don't want this, you know. We had it how we wanted it. We was all cooking our own grub and just biding time. You don't serve a prison sentence in maximum security. You survived the prison sentence in maximum security. Could you be down? I mean, one of my pals, he nicked they was cooking a spaghetti bolognese. A guy nicked an onion. He saw it. He's nicked the onion. The guy said, that's mine. He was a boxer. He went, go on your bike. And the guy stabbed him through the heart and killed him, stone dead over an onion. Life is very cheap. And people always hanging themselves and cutting their wrists, and a very violent environment. Right. So that's why it was so polite. No one pushed in queues. Everyone said good morning to each other, because the PM Parkers that were paranoia, if you didn't say good morning to a guy, he would be plotting up, thinking you're plotting up on him, he'd start plotting up on you. So no one pushed in queues. It was a really good place. It was the best prison I served jail in. You know, because everyone was a potential killer, so no one took liberties.
For sure. And out of the 12, you served the entire 12?
I served 8.
8, and then you was released.
Yeah.
And from you being released, you literally, obviously, from the words of Charlie Richardson, obviously, he's no longer with us, so God bless.
Bless him, yeah.
He those words stuck with you. Yeah.
I read the eulogy at his funeral.
Oh, right.
Right, and I got the OBE, and they said, Bobby, you're going up for your knighthood and all that. If you do this, you could lose a lot. I said, well, it comes down to deserting my best friend for a medal. I'm sorry, they can have all the medals back. I'm not interested. I'm going to show my respect to the family. I'm going to show my respect to him. And I'd read his eulogy at his funeral, and no one's ever got the video. There was a video actually taken in there. People could hear what was being said outside. Frankie Fraser was there. Everyone was there who was anyone, really. And he didn't have a carnival, because they went, oh, you know, we'll do a big, and his wife didn't want it. And I said, right, but my people will mind you. I said, and we have the security, we'll do the security on that funeral. And it went off. And the police, the only way they could get photographs of who turned up was taking long Tom cameras. They couldn't get near us. Yeah. And there's no photos of me. I'm very good at avoiding photos. It's only since my book come out, really, and I'll come out in public, that people got photos of me. Yeah,
I've seen one of you. I mean, it's pretty much, you know, you haven't aged much, I'd say, and it's still pretty much the same sort of
it's
thing.
all that prison preserves, isn't it? You know what I mean? You ain't got no stress.
But so basically, so upon you coming out, like you're on a path of positivity, on a path of trying to turn your life around. As I said earlier, turning a bad thing good. Right. So you're getting involved with like laws, and you're having sort of laws change on the basis of rehabilitation.
Right. Yeah, rehabilitation of offenders. I was special supervisor for that.
Yeah.
And as the Lords, I was what's it called? A top witness for education and promoter of education.
Nice.
Because education, I always said, is liberation from crime. So,
Beautiful,
you know, I do that. But I look at it now, you know, and when the letter come for the OBE, it was a laugh.
I was going to get to that as well. So all of your efforts got the attention of the royal family pretty much.
I
And
thought-
they wanted to honour you, give you the highest honour pretty much of the country with an OBE.
It made me laugh because the letter come. And I thought it was a couple of my pals made up a moody letter, right? I was having a laugh, you know. And they went, Bobby, they want you, they had the stamps on it, all that. I went, yeah, right. I said, a couple of the boys winding me up, OBE, you know. And I always said OBE stands for other buggers' efforts, you know, and OBE. And they went, no, it's real. It's got the seals on it, Bobby. I said, phone them up. I said, get them on the phone. I said, put an end to this nonsense, right? Get them on the phone. And I said, I'm Bobby Cummines. I said, this letter, I said, I think it's a prank. I said, the New Year's Honours List 2011. And I said, something about an OBE. He went, no, you're on the New Year's. You have to accept it. He said, will you accept it? Well, I'm a total royalist. Of course I'm going to accept it. So I said, of course. Go to Buckingham Palace. Made me laugh, really, because I married my Japanese wife. She's got all her kimono on and all that. I've got my top hat. I look like the Artful Dodger. So I got the top hat on, go in. And my dad, when we was kids, used to take up to see changing the guards and that sort of thing. And we see these people going in this side entrance into Buckingham Palace. He says, see them? I said, yeah. He said, they're the toffs. He said, when you go through that door, that's when you've really made it. Then my mum and dad was dead. I thought, well, I hope you're looking down there.
Bless,
I'm walking through the door.
Yeah.
So you go in this big room, and it's a beautiful room, and there's people getting like the George Cross, there's the Victoria Cross, policemen getting the George Medal, and people getting things for like flower arrangements, like notifications and stuff like that, and I'm standing there. And they call you, they tell you you can't turn your back on the Queen, you know, you go in through the thing, she's standing on the platform, all your families are behind you, you know, all the families of people getting awarded. They call it the Walk of Honour, right? So you go there, and she's read about every one of you. She's clued up. She's
knows what you're about, basically, yeah.
And everyone said to me, what did the Queen say to you? And I said, well, I had a million things I wanted to say, but when you're in front of her, it's like being a naughty boy standing in front of your mum. You've done something wrong. She's got a presence about her. It's really weird.
Right.
Then you don't say a lot. And she said, I must say, you've got a very colourful background. And that's what she said. I said, thank you. She said, I've never met no one like you before. She said, you know, you've got a very colourful background, she said, and it pleases me to give you the Officer of the British Empire Medal, you know, make you an OBE. I went, thank you so much. You step back, you step to the side, then you walk out. Then you have a hook, right? They don't pin it on you, you have an hook, and they put the pin over the hook so it don't do your suit or nothing like that. She can't prick her fingers, she just goes like that. You go in, they put it in a box, and all the different boxes, like you've got the George Cross, you have George Cross on it, on mine, OBE, and there you go. So I come out of there, and all my pals are there, and my wife comes out, and my guy come out, and my friend's daughter come, and go out. Everyone's taking photographs of my wife in her kimono. I went, here, I'm the one who's got the OBE, love, you know. It's really, outdone me, didn't she, with her gear. So, got that. We had a big party. I had a party in the National Liberal Club. We had the balcony, so overlooking the Thames. Cost me a right few quid, but it was worth it. All the people I loved was there.
Yeah.
And it went, and then we got on, and my wife went, that's amazing. She said, I've actually been, she said, as a tourist, I used to come and look at Buckingham Palace. She said, I've actually seen the Queen of England give you a medal. And she still couldn't get over it today, you know. And then they give you the warrant. Right, this is laugh. Postman comes round, he's got like Robert Cummings OBE, and he went, it's a royal warrant. I said, as long as it ain't for my arrest, I don't mind. You know, we had a little laugh. Sure. He said, well, what do I call you now, sir? And I said, what do you call me before? He said, Bobby. I said, well, that's what you call me now. You know, I said, I'm nothing special.
Humble.
I said, I'm nothing special. The thing is, I mean, there's nurses, there's doctors out there with this COVID thing. To me, they're just people who should get it, not footballers and film stars, right? Because they're earning money. These people are doing things for love, for humanity.
For sure.
And it made me feel humble. So what I've said, well, this not just for me, this is for every ex-offender You can show you can get there if you want to, but you've got to do it the right way. You can't have your foot in two camps. You're either going straight or you're going crooked, but you can't stand in the middle. And that's how it works.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Well, Sir Bobby Cummines, really,
Bobby,
really.
just
Oh, mate,
Bobby.
honestly,
Just Bobby.
honestly, I mean, I'm a fan of stories, and I think I might have heard like one of my favorite stories from someone. Honestly,
Well, as I say, it's been a pleasure. I'm working with professionals.
absolutely, I appreciate that.
And you're going to make me look really lovely.
You definitely will.
Iron out the wrinkles a bit.
CGI.
You can even do one of those shots and give me hair, you know? No, it's been an absolute pleasure. And you're very professional.
So thank you.
And I felt very comfortable doing this.
So I really appreciate your
All right,
time.
thank
appreciate
you.
the words for sure.
Thank
and,
you all.
Much success for your future. And yeah,
Well, the Americans are doing a big film on me.
can't wait to
So,
see it.
yeah, I can't wait to see it.
If you can invite us to the premiere, that would be even better. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I won't be able to go because if they do it in America,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you're
banned
right,
from
yeah,
America. I'm banned from Australia.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that place. It was a criminal colony.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was,
all the people
yeah.
that were barring me, I said that at the Australian embassy. I said, your great-grandfather might have been a rapist or a
100%,
robber.
100%.
I said, and you're barring me? I went, you got some front, and they told me to get out of security, and I had to go. But
much salute, much love, respect to
my
yourself.
life is sweet now, and I wish every kid to have my life I've got now, not the life I had then. There's no glamour in it. It's just jail in it. People die in
Do
there.
you know what? I'll tell you, your story needs hearing.
I'll tell you. And
Honestly.
the thing is, though, when you look at it, you know, and I always say this, and I want this out on there. If there are kids that are dying on these streets, our mothers that are crying in blocks of flats, and the politicians are still lying.
That's
and
a
I
fact.
want that out there.
That's a fact.
If you want to stop crime, instead of spending money on bombs to destroy us all,
Blaming music and shit like
yeah,
that.
give it to guys to let them have their music. Music is the young person's voice.
Exactly.
And you know what? If I want to do anything with young people, you know the first thing I do?
Go on.
I listen to what they're saying.
Amazing.
Because they live in this time. I lived in that time. They're living on the street this time. They educate me. And so then I can look at it and say, well, have you thought about doing it this way? But you've got to listen to them. They've got a voice. You've got to let them have a voice. But you've also got to give them a level playing field so they can make that grade.
For sure. For sure.
I love the kids. They're our future.
Absolutely.
Right? And if we don't look after them, they ain't going to look after us when we get older.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Respect them, they respect you. You disrespect them,
Goes
then they're
both
going, why
ways.
should they respect you?
For sure. For sure.
You come out of university with 30 grand debt. All us lot got to come out of university. We didn't have to pay a penny. We nicked your future.
Oh, mate, yeah.
All right.
Still paying that back.
And you're
you know
still
what I
paying
mean?
it back,
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay it back.
For sure.
In fact, that's the only good thing that came out of jail was my education. And it was my liberation.
Yeah.
And I really sincerely want to thank you all.
Absolutely.
I feel comfortable.
Likewise.
It's been done professional. So people who are going to see this, no, this ain't a Mickey Mouse outfit.
Absolutely
Right?
not.
It's been done professional and I'm very grateful.
Appreciate you, sir. Much love.
Okay.
Much love.
Much love to
salute.
you.